everybody, today I'm going to be reviewing the Gemini Longline corset. Now this one is the conical rib version and I will show you the round rib version at all angles right after this. So here's the front, the side, the back, and the other side. And here is the round rib silhouette. So this one is the jade iridescent satin. The one that I was wearing before was the indigo iridescent satin. Now, one thing I should clear up was when I ordered these samples, I ordered the round rib in the jade and the conical rib in the indigo. However, on the website, it's sold in opposite silhouettes. So the jade is in the conical rib and the indigo is in the round rib. I just wanted to clear up in case anybody was confused about it. So let me show you this from all angles as well. So here's the front, side, the back, and the other side. So today I'm wearing the size 22, so it's 22 inches closed in the waistline here. The rib spring is 8.5 inches, so the rib measures 30.5 inches. The high hip here, about 3 inches down from the waist, is 34 inches, so it has a 12-inch upper hip spring. And then the low hip spring here, about 6 inches down from the waistline, is 38 inches. It has a 16-inch low hip spring. So it has the exact same rib and hip springs as the original Gemini. It is the same length from the waist up, but from the waist down it has been lengthened by another 2 inches. The length in the center front here is 13 inches. The princess seam here, from under the bust to the top of the lap, is 11 inches, and this is a different distribution compared to the Longline Hourglass. From the waist up in this one is 5 inches, whereas the Hourglass is 6. So this is a little bit shorter from the waist up and longer from the waist down, whereas the Hourglass Longline is longer from the waist up and shorter from the waist down, meant for more low-waisted people. This is better suited for high-waisted people. So this one is 5 inches from the waist up and 6 inches from the waist down. At the side seam here it's 12 inches, and in the center back it's a little bit longer than the front at 13.5 inches. So compared to the original Gemini, I actually changed very little about this pattern. It's not too long at the princess seam from the waist up, as I just mentioned. It's very gently contoured in the center front so that there's no very dramatic point in the center. I did change the center back a little bit. So whereas the original Gemini was a little bit too pointed, that I would prefer, this one I made it a little bit more gently rounded here because as I've learned more about patterning, the length is less important in the very center back and more important kind of at the side back, right underneath the shoulder blades here, the wing bones, because this is where the most squish happens. And so I didn't need to make it quite so long in the center back. I was able to shorten the very center back line, but I kept things still kind of high and nicely rounded along the side back here, where most people tend to get the spillover. I also kept the rib silhouettes the same as the original Gemini, so if you would like to learn more about the differences between the two different silhouettes, the conical and the round, I will link up another video up in the cards there or down in the description below so that you can learn more about it, just so that I'm not constantly repeating myself and for the sake of brevity for this video. Where the Gemini Longline is different from the original Gemini is from the waist down primarily. So like I said before, it still has the same upper and lower hip spring, but this is distributed over a longer length. So in the original Gemini, you only needed about 4 inches from your waist down to the bottom edge, maybe about 4.5 inches if you wanted to be really comfortable and be able to sit down comfortably with the bottom edge just skimming the thigh brow, as I recently learned the term, or the crease where your lap meets your torso. And it was deliberately designed to be something that looked and felt like a longline corset, but you did not necessarily need the long torso to go along with it. However, if you had a long torso and a high waist, or if you had a deep pelvis, some people noticed that the Gemini was not quite covering their lower tummy, or the panniculus is the scientific term for an apron of skin or fat that hangs over. And so for those of you who do have a panniculus or do have a longer torso and a high waist at the same time, this is the primary reason that the Gemini longline was created. It's also a little bit more pointed than the original Gemini in the center front. I did not originally want it to be quite so pointed, but we needed to get the length in the center front to hold in a panniculus without making the princess seem like way too low that nobody would be able to comfortably sit down in it. So this was the compromise that we made. Another reason why the center front ended up being so long was to be able to fit the longline busk in here without making it really squeezy at the top and bottom edges where you have to put on the binding. So because of those limitations, the hardware restrictions in terms of the busk length, and also the control that we wanted to provide in the lower tummy and to create that really flat profile, this was the reason that we ended up going with a slightly pointed bottom edge here. So it's a full 2 inches longer in the front at the princess seam and a little bit on the side here. It is not super duper long in the back. I didn't change the length of the back too much from the original Gemini. It might have been just sort of like distributed differently. But you no longer need a high and square hip shelf to fit this corset. For the original Gemini, it was really designed for somebody with a high square hip shelf. This one, because the springs are distributed over this longer length, you can have slightly sloping hips and fit this comfortably, and you won't catch too much like air pockets. That being said, you should still have a relatively fuller hip. Like you can very plainly see that I have flaring here. This is because I naturally have more narrow hips. If I wanted to fill this out fully, I would need padding, or my natural hip would have to be at least 38 inches. So I would still not advise this for somebody with relatively narrow hips. You might do better with something like the Hourglass Longline or the Libra even, for instance. You can always send me your measurements. I'll let you know what will fit you best, but you should still have a fuller hip to wear this longline. So let's go to the tabletop portion and I can show you the other details of this close-up. So here is the Gemini longline corset laid flat, and for the materials, the fashion fabric on this one is the jade iridescent satin. It looks a lot brighter green, a more vibrant green because of the strong studio lighting, but to me it seems kind of like a bit of a sage sort of forest green. Like in person it does actually look like a jade, and it's shot with different colors, so depending on the lighting source and depending on the angle, it can look a little bit darker like this, it can look a little bit lighter, and it can actually have angles where it has a shine that's a little bit more of a brownish or a reddish, more earth colors. So it is really beautiful in person. So the fashion fabric is laminated, that means fused, to a cotton strength fabric, which is in the interlining. And then the lining on the inside here, the third layer, is just another layer of 100% cotton twill. This is what the label looks like. So you can see the size, the brand, the fiber content on the underside here, as well as cleaning instructions, and the country of manufacture. Turning this corset on its side, it has a 6-panel pattern, so that's 12 panels for both sides. So you can see here 1, 2, 3 makes the front half of the corset, and then 4, 5, 6 makes the back of the corset. Now, like I said before, the one in my hand here has the round rib silhouette, but on the website, for one reason or another, the factory decided to make the jade iridescent satin colorway only available in the conical rib silhouette, so don't get confused here. But this one that I'm holding here has the round rib silhouette, and you can see that panels 2, 3, and 4, and a tiny little bit of 5 is a little bit rounded. So there's not one particular pattern piece here that holds all of the cuppiness, and that's how you get a little bit of cupping and supporting in a 3D body, because you have a little bit of cupping on the side and a little bit of cupping on the very front here, so that you're not putting any pressure on those front costal joints or the sternum either. You can see how the pattern pieces sweep upwards for a little bit of a high back, but it doesn't go up into the point there. It sort of rounds off, so it's a little bit straight at the top edge there. And at the bottom here, you can see how it comes down slightly to support the lower tummy at the center front here. And regarding the construction method, it's constructed the exact same way as all the other Timeless Trends corsets in that it is assembled using this sandwich method. And I'm not going to dwell too long on that. I'm going to make a separate video on different construction methods and what they mean so that I don't have to continue repeating myself in these reviews. And turning to the inside here, you can very plainly see the outline of the waist tape here, 1 inch wide, running through the entire width of the corset from the center front to the center back, sandwiched in between the 2 layers. And you can also see how the waist tape is situated so much higher compared to my Longline hourglass design, which has a longer length from the waist up, shorter from the waist down. And this one you can very clearly see that there's a shorter distance from the waistline here, the bottom of the waist tape, up to the underbust, and a longer length from the waist tape down to the lap here for more control of a lower tummy. Here's a close-up of the binding. It is finished in the same matching jade iridescent satin here, and it is machine stitched on the outside as well as on the inside here. A tiny little lip there, stitched in the ditch on the outside. And additionally, there are 6 garter tabs, 3 on each side. And like other Timeless Trends corsets, this one does not come with a Modesty panel. However, it does have the same matching length as the Longline corsets in the center back here. So if you want a Modesty panel, these can be purchased separately, and I recommend getting the Longline length Modesty panels to match this. However, in the front here, there is a 1/2 inch wide Modesty placket finished in the same fashion fabric. So the busk in this corset is 12 inches long, and it's a standard flexible busk, which means it's 1/2 inch wide on each side, and it has the loops and pins riveted into a white bone, the nylon dipped steel bone inside. And it is further reinforced with a 3/8 inch wide flat steel bone adjacent to the busk on either side here. It has 6 loops and pins, all equidistantly spaced. And the number of bones depends on which size you order. So for sizes 22 and above, it will have 32 bones total. For sizes 18 and 20, and actually I drafted it as small as 16 inches, and we'll see whether Timeless Trends will release it in that size as well. But for the smaller sizes, there's not enough space to fit the extra bones in the center of the panels here. So these 3 bones on each side, or 6 bones total, are omitted in the smaller sizes, giving 26 bones total. But you can see here in the center front adjacent to the busk, and these 2 bones by the grommets in the back here, they are flat steel bones. And then it's double boned on the seams here with 1/4 inch wide spirals. So you can see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then the additional 1 or single spiral steel bones in the middle of the panel, another 1, 2, 3. So if you want to count with me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and doubling that for the other side is 32. Here's a close-up of the grommets. There are a total of 28 of them, 14 on each side. They are size 0 with a small to medium flange around them and finished in silver. You can see that they are equidistantly spaced, about 1 inch apart. And here are the underside of the grommet, so that you can see that there are washers present, and most of them have rolled nicely without splits so they don't catch on the laces. And you can see that they're holding in pretty well. You don't even see a lot of wear right at the waistline where you might have the most tension there. And the laces in this corset are 1/2 inch wide single-faced satin ribbon in a slightly kind of matching and kind of complementary, slightly more bluish green teal sort of finish. In the iridescent indigo, we unfortunately don't have anything that was perfectly matching, so we decided to go with black single-faced satin ribbon for this one. And for the cream colorway, they decided to use a beige or slightly golden single face satin ribbon. But when it came to the black cashmere, we do have the black hefty workhorse style shoelace. So that is the only colorway, the black cashmere, that has the shoelace lacing, and all the others come with ribbon. And if I expand the laces as far as they'll go so that you have these little nubbins for bunny ears right here, the lacing gap in the back comes to let's call it 9¼ inches. So if you are lacing to waist reductions of 8 inches, you will probably be able to wrap this corset around yourself. But if you are extremely compressible and you are accomplishing waist reductions of more than 9 or even 10 inches, then you will need to invest in longer laces to get into and out of this corset comfortably. The Gemini Longline corset is currently available in black cashmere and also beige cotton. These are the evergreen neutral shades. Also the iridescents like this, and we will be rolling out some vibrant cottons and other colorways in the near future. So it's available in my shop, linked up in the cards or down in the description below. You can also find it on Thomas Trend's corset website, and Thomas Trend has priced this at about $127 US. So this concludes my feature on the Gemini Longline corset. If you own this corset, leave us a comment down below and let us know what you think of it, whether you like it or not, what you do like about it, what you don't like about it, because I'm always looking for feedback and to improve my patterns over time. And if you have any comments or questions about this corset, either silhouette, the round rib or the conical rib, you can feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to get back to you and answer your questions. Please leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. I depend on your engagement with this video so that the algorithm can do its magic and get this video in front of more subscribers, because I've been away for so long. They have really suppressed my reach. So if you are seeing this, thank you for watching and for staying till the end. And click the notification bell so you don't miss another future video from me. And I will see you all next time for another video. Thanks guys, bye.